Hey, Monarch tennis fans, time to get caught up with the ODU women's tennis team with head coach Dom Manilla. Coach, good to see you again.
Hey, Ted, thanks for having me.
Been a zany couple of weeks. You defeated VCU 6-1 to keep rolling. Then you had a couple of postponements. This weekend, you're back at it. The topsy-turvy nature is something we all have to deal with. How do you best teach your team to be able to deal with that?
I think that's part of being a tennis player. It's just being able to handle the ups and downs. And, this season has had its ups and downs, whether it be the schedule or from the pandemic or, some losses we took early on in the season. It's had ups and downs, but we've handled it. And I think that, good tennis players handle things like this. It's a long season, so you have to be prepared for things like this. And they're ready for it, and they've done just fine.
The mental aspect of the game cannot be underscored at all, be it a delayed match or weather or getting off to a bad start or those types of things. How can you find in a recruit's or in someone's home on the couch in the living room when you're talking about coming to Old Dominion, how can you tell if they're mentally tough or not?
Well, to be honest, you see it in their results. Not necessarily the win-loss record, but just the consistency to perform at a certain level over a long period of time. Sometimes you look at players like, oh, they have these huge spikes. Like they have, if a basketball player, they had a game where they scored 50, but they only averaged 6. You got to look at for things like that. So we look for a consistency in quality results. And also you want to look for how does a player lose? Are they losing in a quality way, or are they just saying, oh, I give up? I think one of the coolest stats about Roger Federer, and Ted, you would like this one because you're a tennis player, is, his average time to win a set. This stat's a little dated, but at the time I knew this stat, his average time to win a set was 39 minutes. Just efficient, gets out there, boom, wins a set. Average time to lose a set was 1 hour and 8 minutes. Takes a lot of work to beat the guy, and I really like that stat. And so those are the types of things we look for.
How do you create a killer instinct? How do you teach people when they're up 4-2 in a set to put the thing away? Because oftentimes tennis is a social game. This is for non-college players. But tennis is a social game. You're playing back and forth. You've got a lead. You kind of feel a little softer because you have that lead.
Yeah, tennis is weird. It kind of brings out the in you, looking at the person across the net. It becomes a little bit intimate, and you have to have that little push, that desire to win. I think winners make good tennis players. And winning in that. And not just the sense of, hey, winning the last point of the match, just having a winning mindset in general. And, also I think that you can think, in my position, when I'm looking at players step up and win big points, like we've had some big ones, Yulia winning some big ones at Deuce since NC State, all you can do is say, hey, thanks to her parents, for somehow getting that through.
As we head into this weekend, it's a trip around the Commonwealth for the ODU women's tennis team. James Madison on Friday, and then VCU in Richmond on Saturday. Tell us about the prep for the upcoming weekend.
Well, it's really been, this is kind of a fortunate situation that came out of a bad situation, the pandemic. We've been fortunate to just kind of regionally play each other. I think JMU is a very good up-and-coming team. They're under new leadership with Coach Shelly Jodin from Alabama. They're doing very well. I think their votes for the top 50. So we're going to go play them at JMU for the first time in several years. Definitely the first time in my tenure that we've been at JMU. And then we're going to circle back around. We're going to play at VCU. It's going to be a little tough because it's cold here today. We're going to have to practice inside. It's going to be warm Tuesday, Wednesday. So we're going to practice outside Tuesday, Wednesday, because that's what we're trying to get ready for. Our conference is outside. NCAA's is outside. Everything moving forward that's important is outside. So then we're going to play JMU, though, because we're going to a colder climate. We're going to play them inside on 3 courts on a bubble. Tough situation, but, I think we're up for it. And then we're going to jump in the van and we're going to go play VCU outside the next day. So it'll really be a push for us, but, I think the team's up for it. And I think that these are the types of tests that we have to, or hoops that we have to jump through to make sure that we're fully ready to go down to the conference tournament. The last thing we want to, no coach wants to go into anything like this, and so we want to be prepared when we go down to Denton to be successful.
From a playing standpoint, the differences in playing surface. Tell us a little bit about that.
From playing surface, well, in college and at the Division I level, we're only allowed to play on a hard court surface, and that varies slightly. They have a rating scale. I can't remember what it's called. I don't really reference it too often, but it's some courts are faster than others. In our environment, usually just depends on how old the court is. A newer court is going to be slower, and then some departments, they haven't resurfaced the courts in 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Those are very fast. And so that's kind of what you look for. Indoors, though, there is a different feeling. There's less environmental things, obviously. The shadows are different. People don't talk about that a lot. When you're outside, you see the ball with, direct light, especially later or earlier in the day, you see a direct light just from one side. So the perspective of the ball is different. Inside, you got it all over. And if the lighting's good, there's no shadow. So it's just a different perspective, and it tends to feel like it's traveling a little faster. We're going to be a little higher at JMU too. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I think they're about 750, 800 feet. I don't know if it's going to make a huge difference, but it will be a little faster at JMU. And then we'll go to VCU, which will be outdoors. Not the hottest day in the world. It'll kind of slow it down.
When you get to a new venue, one where you've never competed before, what's the first thing you check out? What are you looking at?
Well, I think most of the courts are all the same size. So we try and look at it this way, is that, hey, that court's the same size as our courts back home, and we should be okay. I think we take a pretty good approach to that. We don't really get impressed by if we go to these bigger schools. We don't do any of that. We do get a good hit on them. We like to talk about the speed of it. We like to see how the ball reacts to it. A good court, for us, a good court is important because we have a lot of talent in our lineup. Somebody like Yulia, she wants to hit a slice and have it stay low. She wants to hit topspin and have it bounce up. She wants to hit it flat and have it go fast. And some courts, if they're worn down, that just doesn't happen. All the balls, kind of match the same. So, we figure those things out. What type of spins work? Is the slice wide effective on this type of court? Or is this just a banger college court? We just got to smack it and keep as many in as we can. So we kind of figure those things out. We get the legs going. We breathe a little bit and get some rest. And we just talk about whatever we need to do to get the win the next day, whether it's to win the match, the last point of the match, which is the goal, but to get in the van feeling like winners no matter what.
One last thing, we've talked about this before, and we'll talk about this at the end, but in tennis, when it's all going against you, you don't have timeouts. You don't have a lot of time to reel it in. You can't go run to mom or the coach or those types of things. When you only have 20 seconds to reel it in, what do you teach your kids to get them back to where they need to be as quickly as possible from a mental standpoint when things aren't going their way?
Well, it starts with practice. You want to keep that 20-second thing often. When we work out, we get 20-second breaks. When you take serves, you serve every 20 seconds. These types of things. So you're always, that 20 seconds is built into them. You ask a tennis player, like a high-level tennis player, it's like, hey, count to 20, give me 20 seconds. They pretty much know exactly when 20 seconds is. So some players go through different exercises. I think the first one, when you're working with a player, if they're having struggling, hey, go back and just count your strings, man. Just count them this way, go up there and serve. And some players, you just have to, hey, don't step up to that line until you're ready to stick that serve in. And go back there, watch it. If you got to hit some serves against the fence, go for it, but don't step up until you're ready to hit it and do what you know how to do. Hey, you've only hit this thing a million times, man. It's not like you forgot 5 seconds ago. So, you have to get that going again and remind them that they're winners, remind them that, hey, they know what they're doing out there. I think it's important. You got to let the players play. They're at this level because of what they did, not because of what you did. And so I think that in those situations, you remind them how good they are and tell them to get up there and hit the ball hard and drive through the ball. And if that player's got a weakness, their opponent's got a weakness, go at that weakness with everything you got.
There you have it. This weekend, they'll be going at weaknesses at James Madison on Friday, at VCU on Saturday. Coach Dominic, appreciate the time. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks. Go Monarchs.
Women's tennis head coach Dominic Manilla joining us on Monarch Media.